What is up, everybody out there in HeroClix land? This, once again, is Scott Porter back for a brand new Marvel HeroClix unboxing series. This time, based around the upcoming set, boom, Deadpool and Wolverine. That is right. The Merc with the mouth and the man that there's no one better at what he does, Wolverine, are back one more time in HeroClix form. I'm the best at what I do, bub. It's the guy who popularized the word bub. I don't know how you do it. How are you a tough guy like Wolverine and you can popularize a word like bub? I don't know. You know, when you're that dangerous, I guess you could say whatever you want and just get away with it. This set is coming to everybody in June. June 12th is targeted for the pre-release dates. June 26th, the actual set is coming your way. But if you haven't noticed, it is the middle of April. We are 2 months ahead of this set's release, and we are going to get an incredible sneak peek. If you've never seen one of my unboxing series, we have a couple of goals here, right? We want to take a look at all of the awesomeness that HeroClix is sending your way a bit of time early, right? You get some little sneak peeks, but also we're going to do a little bit of lore exploration, you know? We're going to figure out some of the history of some of these characters and tell you where to go look for them. If these are figures that you love and characters that you come to like just because you play the game of HeroClix, I want to give you some background, some backstory for these guys and gals so that you know where to go looking if you want even more of them than just on your tabletops. Like I said, June 12th for the pre-release, June 26th for the full set release. Now, it's like Christmas morning. You know, you get a gift, you want to shake it a little bit, you want to look at the outside of it. So on the front here, we have this amazing image of Deadpool reading, you know, kind of fireside stories, the history of Wolverine. There's an invitation up on the shelf behind him, you know, the Yoshida clan there behind him, you know, wanting him to come out to Japan because of his wife. I'm just looking back here and seeing it in all its glory on the big screen behind me here at HyperRPG Studios, and I love it. I love this piece of art. On the side of the box, we've got some characters, it looks like, from the Deadpool Corps. Looks like we've got Pandapool and Sheriff Deadpool, Mime Pool. Oh my gosh, what a ridiculous story the Mime Pool thing is. And then you've got Wolverpool, and then underneath that, which really takes me back, you have X-Force, like old-fashioned X-Force, Shatterstar, Domino. You've got Sunspot, you've got Boom Boom, or Boomer, or Meltdown, or any number of names that Tabby decided that she wanted to go with as she was growing up. Former New Mutants who went under the leadership of Cable and became just mainstays during the 90s comics boom of the X-Men landscape. So I'm very excited to get into that. My nostalgia is already kicking. You know, when you talk about Deadpool, you talk about Wolverine. For me, it's kind of like my golden age of comics was the late 80s into the mid 90s. You know, everything that I was reading was just the most incredible story I'd ever read before. Everything was tied together so intricately. Claremont and the rest of the X team did fantastic work, and that led into the early 90s with some of my favorite writing crews as well. Peter David on X Factor, and of course Nicieza on X-Force wrote some really, really great stuff. Liefeld, of course, before that. Louise Simonson at the end of her run with X Factor. I mean, there's so many great talents and writers there. On the other side of the box, let's see. Oh, whoa. Okay, this is cool. All right, we've got some variations on a theme. Wolverine up here. It looks like we've got, you know, Patch there on the bottom. It looks like we've got a little Weapon X situation. We've got Wolverine in the cowboy hat and the man, I hope I pull this guy, and all the bandages around his hands. There's a very specific storyline where that Wolverine comes into play, and I hope I pull him, and if I don't, I'll talk about him anyway on the outside of the box. And then underneath that, you've got the X-Men, after coming back, after being separated for so long in the 80s, coming into the 90s, the Outback generation of X-Men, X-Factor being reformed. There's so much really, really cool stuff that happened in the 80s, but the X-Men weren't really around, so this is kind of like the triumphant return for the X-Men. But in the middle there is a guy, he kind of looks like Strife, sort of. He's got this like purple robes, this golden helmet with all these sharp spikes all over it. That, my friends, is actually Professor X. And he had been off planet for a very long time leading up into that storyline. He had been with the Shi'ar Empire with his love and his partner, Lilandra, the Empress of the Shi'ar. And nobody knew that was Professor X. He was there by Lilandra's side, so it was a very, very cool storyline. All of these pieces that I'm seeing on the outside of the box, my nostalgia bells are just going bong, 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 bong. I'm so already just infatuated with this set and what it could be. On the back of the box, we usually have what we think are going to be Chase figures, but instead of like a selection of Chase figures, we just have a very Predator-style handshake happening between Deadpool and Wolverine. And you can see Deadpool's scarred up skin there. And you can see Wolverine's arm in there. Rip Carl Weathers, the old Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they just hold it for 3 minutes, just staring at each other intently. Man, yeah, rip. Rest in peace, sir. But what a great, so I guess we're getting maybe team up chases? I don't know. We'll have to see what we come up with once I start opening these boosters. Now, on the top of the box, we have a legacy card, which have become a mainstay. Everybody out there loves to kind of go wild after this unboxing series comes out and go find all their old figures. So we do have one legacy card on the top. I do have all of the information on what old figures are going to be legacy carded, and I will share that with you this week. Now, this series is going to be a little bit different. There is no dice and token set for this set. There are 2 play-at-home kits. There is a release date OP kit as well that are going to involve Wolverine and Deadpool and Multiple Man, which I'm stoked about. If you've ever watched these, you know Jamie Madrox is one of my all-time favorite characters. And Wolvie from the X-Babies. Actually, from Exiles, he was a part of a 12-issue series about the Exiles when they tried to relaunch it a couple of years back. And he's going to be a part of that release day kit. So very, very excited that those are still going to be a part. But no Dice and Tokens packs. We are so far ahead of schedule on this that the only thing I got from WizKids today is this brick. I don't have any of the play-at-home kits. I don't have anything else to share for you. So what I'm going to do is open this at the end of today's video and take a look at what legacy card we pulled, and then each day share with you a couple of other figures that are getting legacy carded with this set so that everybody out there knows what they should be searching for in all of those old dusty plastic bins or tackle boxes you have in your closet. If you're brand new to HeroClix, buckle up, you are in for a wild ride. If you're a big fan of Deadpool or Wolverine or any of these teams on the outside of the boxes here, we're going to go into the stories a little bit and explore. I feel like this set was made for me. You know, Wolverine always says, I'm the best at what I do, bub. I think I'm pretty good at the unboxings, and I definitely can't shut up. So the Merc with the mouth is also fitting. Let's crack this bad boy open. If this is your first time here, I always open, so if you know the front of the box is facing you, I always open up the 2 boosters on the right-hand side. That's what I always do in a store. I usually can pull something nice out of it. So if I'm going into a sealed tournament, you better wait. You better know that I'm waiting for them to break a new brick open so I can go try and get my favorite 2 boxes. So I can get something, you know, super rare, something a little rare in there. So here we go. Without further ado, let's start cracking this set open. Oh man, I'm so excited now. These old storylines that I'm looking at on the outside of these boxes are just, oof. They are such seminal stories in my head as far as like my comics fandom. So very excited to crack into these and see what we're gonna get and what I get to share with you guys today. Now, the pre-release is June 12th. The set released June 26th, but the first time you actually get to play with this set, I can officially tell you guys for the first time, is going to be at the HeroClix for Huntington's event that we have in Huntsville, Alabama coming up on the first weekend of May. That's right, the first Saturday in May we are going to be playing a sealed tournament called Scott Porter vs. the World, and WizKids is going to get us this set a month ahead of the pre-release. So if you want to play in a super duper pre-release, come on down to Huntsville and join us. We raise a lot of money for the Huntington's Disease Society of America, and we've been doing it for 3 years, going on 4 years now, and we've made a heck of a lot of money for a great, great cause, having a wonderful time doing it. So if you want to play with some of these figures I'm about to unveil, come on down, join us in Huntsville, first weekend in May. Our prizing is insane, and that tournament's going to be a ton of fun. All right, here we go. Okay, all right, no super rare in this first pack, but some characters I definitely recognize, and some that I did not expect to see in this set. Let's see. I'm just going to throw that away. All right, let's see. We've got Reagan Wingard, otherwise known as Lady Mastermind. That's going to be the first figure that we pull. We also have, is that Natasha Romanoff? Yeah, we've got Black Widow. Definitely did not expect to see Black Widow. One of my other all-time favorite superheroes, actually just my all-time favorite superhero, Iceman, but like in an old 1960s get-up, like in his old original run, you know, just eating an ice cream cone there. Young Bobby, just young Bobby hanging out. And the last two pieces we are pulling is, oh, that's why Black Widow is here. We have White Fox. Oh my gosh. Okay. Very, very interesting to see that. That means Domino's Hot Shots are going to be a part of this set. And then we've got the man himself here, Forge, just packing heat. Huge, huge gun. Trademark of Forge, especially in the 1990s. That is hilarious. Okay, where are we going to go here? Wow, to see White Fox, I did not expect. Black Widow didn't expect. Lady Mastermind definitely did not expect to see her here. So, all right, wow, we've got the hint cards coming back. That's a lot of fun. It's talking about duo figures on one side and Wolverine on the other with, whoa, okay, hold on a second. It says Wolverine, but it's got these very unique dice. So there's no dice and tokens pack, but here it says, feeling lucky, bub. Every turn, Wolverine rolls a d6 and gets a power based on the result. Each power is strong, and a result of 6, Wolverine gains all 5 other powers at once. It might not be the most reliable tactic, but strategy is for people who don't have adamantium skeletons. But these dice are on this card. I wonder if dice like this are in, are they, where do you get them? There's no dice and tokens pack, but that is definitely for this set. We'll have to wait and see. On the other side, it says duo figures from Wolverine's fastball special to Deadpool's lovely brush with death. Oh, yes, Deadpool and Lady Death. Let's go. Deadpool Weapon X includes some of the most electrifying team-ups in comic book history. Duo figures are ready to hit the battlefield with no extra rules, but tons of extra personality. And there we have She-Hulk throwing Wolverine, kind of a fastball special kind of situation. Okay, so are those the chases then? Duo figures. Are we going to get duo figures as chases? That's where I'm going to put my money to start here. All right. First figure we are going to take a look at is going to be, I guess, the odd one out. Let's start with Black Widow because had no idea she was going to be in this set. Boom. Black Widow. Of course, it's Natasha Romanoff. We've got Avengers, Assassin, Martial Artist, Soldier, and Spy, but no hotshots as a keyword. Okay, all right, that's all right. We still have, when Black Widow hits, after resolutions, gain a hotshots token. Friendly characters with the hotshot trait have free. Remove a hotshots token from this character to generate a smoke terrain marker in their square. At the beginning of your next turn, remove that marker even if it is lost. Only 4 clicks long, only 25 points. Nice moving blocking terrain piece here. You've got stealth, combat reflexes. Yeah, come on and try and hit me up close with a 20 defense. Awesome. On the back, you see Avengers. You see Hot Shots #1, which was a storyline that came out back in 2019. Domino is the team leader. And yeah, there we go. That is our first card. That's our first figure. Black Widow. Did not expect to see Black Widow. All right, let's put her on the hero side. Let's continue with the Hot Shots here and pop right into White Fox. All right. White Fox is a Korean superhero, and her name is Ami Han. And let's see, she's an agent of Atlas, assassin, mystical, spy, hot shots, the last Kumino. When White Fox hits, after resolutions, give her a Hot Shots token. Friendly characters with the Hot Shots trait have free. Remove a Hot Shots token from this character. If you do, until your next turn, when an opposing character attacks this character and misses after resolutions, deal the attacker 1 penetrating damage. There we go. Another shared Hot Shots trait here. So each of the Hot Shots, when performing an action, are going to have some free situations that they get to do. Removing tokens, dropping smoke bombs, being able to deal the attacker 1 penetrating damage upon a miss. And she has a lot of super senses to take advantage of that. Very cool. She also has some shape change there on her dial as well. If you go to the back, you'll see, of course, she has the Mystics keyword, team ability. And that is very, very cool. So Korea, just like in Japan you have the yokai, you have the agwe in kind of Korean mythology. And they are old tales, usually dealing with spirits. Ghosts, they have a different name. Goblins, they have a different name in Korean lore and mythology. And the last Kumino is talking about this Yagwai, who is usually, I think it's always female. To hear her talk about it, they hunt down and seduce men, and then they have to feed on their hearts to continue living on, to keep their line going on. And she is the very last one that's left in Korea. She is a superhero, but she has, much like some of the other characters that we know in Marvel, have to do terrible things to continue to sustain themselves, but try and do it in the most heroic way possible. She is that same type of thing. And she's part of this team that is pulled together to deal with the storyline in Hot Shots, where there is a celestial artifact that had hit Earth. It is going to empower individuals with the power of a celestial, basically, and it's going to be able to grant like all of your greatest wishes and all of the things that you want. But the team that's pulled together is White Fox, is Atlas Bear, who is a Wakandan, who can only see bleak futures. That is kind of her power. She's a precog. You've got Domino, of course, who has her luck field, and then you've got some other players. Outlaw from the Deadpool kind of, Agent X days, who is now a big part of the Deadpool lore and kind of a teammate of Domino's at this point. Diamondback, former Serpent Society, very good with bombs. She's a part of that team as well. And they're pulled together to try and figure out how to stop this thing from falling into anyone's hands, really. And Domino and her kind of luck field may be the thing that keeps it from ruining and destroying the Earth. Anyway, very, very cool storyline. White Fox is there because she feels like in order to perpetuate her race, in order to continue to live and continue her bloodline, she's going to need something that is as powerful as that. After this, she goes on to be an agent of Atlas. She has a lot of really, really cool stories. Very cool character and super unique, actually, in her own right. I love the fact that Korean mythology is a part of this Marvel Comics now through her and other characters that are part of Agents of Atlas too. So definitely really go and check her out. Find her in some of those books, and we move on. Okay. All right, let's see. Iceman I'm going to go with next. One of my all-time favorite heroes, but wait till you see this. Wait till you see this little guy. Look at him just eating his ice cream cone there. Hilarious. Champions, Defenders, Marauders, X-Factor, X-Men. Has the Defenders and the X-Men team abilities. Vanilla. The finest of the flavors is a trait. Unique modifier. Other friendly characters that can't use special powers modify their attack by +1. So, just like him, and you can see his dial there, he's got running shot, incapacitate, energy shield deflection, enhancement, support. I love support on this particular Iceman here. But yeah, very, very cool to see Bobby Drake. But this just looks like a much younger version of him. This is definitely not your Omega level mutant version of Bobby Drake. Did not expect him to be a part of this particular set. When I think of Deadpool, when I think of Wolverine, I don't necessarily think of Iceman. When I think of Wolverine, I think of Alpha Flight. I think of, you know, giant-size X-Men. I think about that collection of heroes brought from around the world into Marvel Comics. You know, you've got the Canadian Wolverine, you've got the German Nightcrawler, you've got the Russian Colossus. You know, those are the characters. I don't necessarily think of the original 5 X-Men. So to see Iceman here is very cool. It's a treat for me. You know, especially one that's as different as this particular Iceman, because a lot of times we get very specific, like hyper powerful Iceman. This is nice. Low pointed, only 30 points. Definitely could play nice with a couple of different teams. Okay, let's look at Lady Mastermind next. Lady Mastermind is Reagan Wingard. She's got Brotherhood of Mutants and Marauders keywords. Doesn't look like she has any named powers here at all. You can see she's got the Brotherhood team ability. If I look at the back of the card here, let's see what they're trying to do with this one. Let's see, X-Men number 200 back in 2007. So back in 2007, we're kind of looking at this Mike Carey era of X-Men. Chris Bachalo doing the art back then, if I am correct. The team I think she was on, I think this was kind of post M-Day, which if anybody knows, like, I mean, Scarlet Witch said the famous phrase, "No more mutants," and I'm going to put her on this side, even though she was a member of the X-Men at this time. I think, even though it says Brotherhood, back in 2007, that issue that it's talking about, I think that was a Mystique team. I think it was like Mystique, Iceman, Omega Sentinel, I can't remember the other team members, but a very specific team at that time that Carey was writing, if I'm correct, that this is the right time frame. And this, the reason she has Marauders on there is because there's only 198 mutants left on Earth after M-Day, after No More Mutants, was a phrase that was uttered by Wanda Maximoff in a very fractured place in her life. And literally it sent them into a whole storyline. But on the other side of it, right before Hope Summers was born, which you know came on the heels of Messiah Complex and everything, I believe that Lady Mastermind was an X-Men at that time for a little while. And Mystique ended up restarting Freedom Force under the name the Marauders. Long story short, they went hunting for the baby that was born, the first mutant life that was born after M-Day, and that was Hope Summers, and she was a part of that Marauders team as well. So I'm going to put her on the left over here. Still very cool. Wolverine was tasked at that point by Cyclops to go hunt down and kill all of these Marauders before they could find Hope Summers. So maybe that's why she's a part of this set. Definite ties to Wolverine in that way. Man, I wish I could remember the rest of the, oh man, was it, I think it was Cannonball. Yes, that's what it was. They were working out of Cable's island, Providence, I think is what it's called. I think they were based out of there, and they were trying to figure out what had happened. So many mutants at that point were trying to figure out how to restart the mutant race, and that was the team that was kind of wrapped up with Cable at the time. So makes sense for her to be involved here. Very, very cool. Okay, Forge. Let's see. Now this is what takes me back. Look at the size of that gun he's holding, man. This old yellow and blue, like this is the old school X-Men uniforms, and they hadn't worn them in years leading up to putting them back on right before the Jim Lee era of X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, and Peter David took over X Factor. This was like the tail end of Chris Claremont's run, was this costume. But man, oh man, the guns that these guys pack are hilarious. Let's see, we've got X Factor, X-Force, X-Men, Mystical, and Scientist, and Soldier keywords. Set number 35. Supercharged Science is a special damage power that he has, Perplex and Support. When an adjacent multi-base character or adjacent character with the robot or vehicle keyword is given a move or power action after resolutions, you may place Forge adjacent to that character. So robot or vehicle, don't know how many figures we're going to see in this set with that keyword. Still a little sidestep, little incapacitate, a little willpower there. Little force blast on the tail end, turn it over. You've got X-Men and you have S.H.I.E.L.D. Very interesting team abilities to have here. Forge is a super, super interesting character to me. A lot of people don't know the history of Forge, right? Forge is, I believe he's Cheyenne, tribe of America, an indigenous tribe. And he was raised in the arts of being a medicine man. He knows, spell work and all of this mystical stuff that his old tribe was able to access. He was raised in that world of mysticism, not of machinery. And then he served his nation in Vietnam. And his entire company got wiped out. And in anger, he raised them all again, all of the spirits, which opened this portal. These demons started to flood into the battlefield that he was on, fighting against these troops to avenge the deaths of all of his, company members. And at the end of that, he tried to actually bomb the whole site. He called in an airstrike on himself, hoping to die, but also close this portal to this other dimensional world. It didn't quite close it in time, and something called the Adversary came through. In the 80s, the Adversary was a huge enemy of the X-Men. And the Adversary came through, the bombing strike, took his arm, took his leg. That's why when you first met Forge, he had a cane, he had this robot arm, this cybernetic arm. And what really happened from then on is that he really leaned into his mutant power, where he has the ability to control and to build and to interface with all of this different technologies. Not quite, I wouldn't say techno-kinetic, but kind of in that way. Really difficult, but he's an inventor. And he's one of my favorite support X-Men of all time. But in his quest to try and defeat a couple of enemies of the X-Men back in the day, his technology actually became power dampeners for mutants. And Henry Gyrick, who hates mutants, took his technology and utilized it sometimes against the X-Men. He's the reason that Storm became powerless. In trying to fight, there was these enemies, they were called the Wraiths or something like that in the 80s. While battling these things, he was using this technology to try and get them off of Earth and back to their own planet. But they were completely and totally indistinguishable. You couldn't find them. They had no traces, biometric traces that they would leave behind. They were impossible to track until he created this particular piece of technology that could track them, that also worked as a power dampener for mutants. Ended up, destroying that race. He fought with Rom, the Space Knight. So cool, like his history. But when trying to finally get rid of the Adversary, him and Storm ended up going through a portal, living on a planet with no other human life. That's where they fell in love. Him and Storm had a very huge love affair. It was a very big storyline back in the 80s. But the end of that whole Adversary storyline is he had to actually sacrifice 9 lives to get rid of the Adversary, to get it back to its demonic plane. And all of the X-Men and Madeline Pryor decided to step up and sacrifice their lives to save Earth. And that's when the goddess Roma stepped in. She gave the X-Men the Siege Perilous. There's like so many cool storylines back in the 80s, but she actually saved the lives of the X-Men, and Forge did all of that. So by the time he donned this uniform and officially became an X-Man, he had definitely earned it back in the day. Forge is awesome. I feel like nowadays enough people don't know his history. Okay, moving on. See, I told you I talk too much. The Merc with the mouth, the unboxer with the mouth. But there you have it. That's Forge for you. Very, very cool. Story time with Scotty P in full effect right now. Okay, the next, okay, very cool. We have something definitely different than I was expecting. We have a die in this pack, but this die also is not a normal die. It seems like it has a 1, 2, 5, and then Domino's face, I think, because Domino is the super rare that we pulled in this pack. Yes, boom, super rare today, folks, boom. Domino right there. Definitely in one of her newer costumes. We have Jubilee. Who doesn't love Jubilee? Wearing, again, one of those classic 80s costumes. Oh, yes! beautiful. We've got Morph, everybody. Oh, yes, that is so cool. From one of my favorite comics of all time, The Exiles. If you haven't read the original Exiles by Judd Winnick and Tony Bedard, and Mike McCone as the artist on the beginning of that. What an incredible series. The old one, the one that started in the aughts, in the early 2000s. And then we have Lady Mastermind, who we just spent some time on. So let's get into this and figure out what this die actually means. The fact that it's coming in a booster is kind of cool to me. So maybe we don't get Dyson Tokens pack. Maybe the Dyson Tokens are going to be now in boosters, and you get them as a part of the purchase experience for boosters and bricks. I don't know. Let's take a look here. Opening the cards, we've got a couple more hint cards. We've got hint pick a card with Gambit sitting there with looks like his own dice, and on the back, hint chaos magic with Scarlet Witch, the aforementioned Scarlet Witch that we were just talking about from M-Day. Holy heck. Okay, so the Gambit one says each face of Gambit's special die represents a different suit or a Joker symbol from his signature deck of playing cards. That is so awesome. At the beginning of each turn, the die can be rolled, and Gambit will gain access to the power or ability designated by the rolled suit. Very cool. Scarlet Witch has her own die. Cast a spell on your opponent with Scarlet Witch's Chaos die. Hell no, this scares me. When using probability control, you can swap in a special die that your opponent must roll instead of one of their own standard dice. Be careful, the results could swing either way, but that is the fun of Chaos. So yeah, pretty cool that you've got these particular dice in the thing. So I'm guessing Domino has a special die with her own rules. Maybe we'll figure out what that is on the card here. And oh, I didn't say that we got Copycat. I was so blown away by the die and by Morph, of course. We do have a Copycat in this as well, which a lot of people don't know. If you're only fans of kind of the movies, the Deadpool movies, Vanessa, who you know in the films, actually in the comics is this character of Copycat, and we will go down the rabbit hole with her here in just a moment. Okay, where to start? We've already seen Lady Mastermind, put her over here on the villain side. Let's start with Jubilee. Jubilee, in her 1980s into early 1990s X-Men costume. Our favorite mall rat. You know, people who are modern day fans know her as a mother, Shogo, her little baby. Know her for a little while as a vampire, for real, for real. But this seems to be young Jubilee here. Let's take a look at her card. Yeah, no special powers or abilities, just has the X-Men team ability there. Power, choose an adjacent friendly character that can use this team ability and heal that character one click and roll a d6. On a 1 to 4, this character is dealt 1 unavoidable damage. But we've got some solid skills on this particular Jubilee. At the end of the 80s into the 90s, she was still coming to grips with how to use her powers, coming to grips on how to be a little bit more of a X-Man who could really contribute. In the early days, she was kind of just like Wolverine was constantly looking after her. It's where we started to see the softer side of Wolverine. She was an orphan. She was found in a mall. She was a part of the Australian Outback X-Men. And the Australian Outback X-Men, I mentioned with Forge that they all sacrificed their lives to save the Earth when they were battling the adversary. Well, when that happened and all the X-Men sacrificed themselves, Roma saved them. But she put them back in a place where the rest of the world didn't know that they weren't dead. So the X-Men actually, who were under a lot of heat at the time, actually were able to go and kind of live a quieter life, or they tried to. And that's where the Australian Outback X-Men, if you've ever heard of the Australian Outback X-Men, that's kind of when it happened. The rest of the world didn't know they were still alive. And so they were able to kind of be together as a team. It was Havoc, Polaris, and Storm, Wolverine, Jubilee. These were the team members that were thought to be dead. Forge as well, and actually were alive and kicking just on the other side of the world, unbeknownst to most people around. So that was kind of what led into that time, and it was a very, very cool time frame. But they couldn't really be X-Men. They couldn't really wear their X suits or anything like that. So at the end of the 80s into the 90s, they put these suits on, and Jubilee definitely started to gain confidence, become a much stronger personality. And then you get into the mid 90s, you've got something called the Phalanx Covenant, and on the other side of that, and that actually introduced Blink. And if we're dealing with exiles at all in this, I'm guessing we're hopefully going to get a Blink. Yeah, it also led into Generation X, which was a very, very cool book, was a big fan favorite. So we'll see if we get any Generation X characters. We'll see if we get any more exiles in this set, but very cool to have Jubilee. Okay, the next one I want to take a look at, since we just talked about the exiles, is Morph. This costume's great, man. Morph is the kind of slapstick, sort of animated character, comic relief, but also the heart and soul of the Exiles run. And what an awesome character to see in this set. Morph, Avengers, Exiles, New Mutants, X-Men, and celebrity keywords. Keep the team laughing. That was his job. Toughness, shape change, but succeeds on a 4 to 6. When Morph uses it and succeeds, he may choose a team ability an opposing character can use until the end of your next turn. Protected, outwit. Very, very cool. Has a super varied dial. It's got some charge, some super strength, some super senses, probability control, perplex. On the back, you see he is, in fact, a team player. So he's a bit of a wild card. And yeah, Exiles #1 back there in 2001. That initial team of Exiles was so fantastic. And Exiles, that book, I mean, it's a 100-issue run, I believe it's 100. Now, Judd Winnick started it, Tony Bedard took over, some other writers came in later, but Morph, Blink, Nocturne, who is the daughter of Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch from an alternate dimension. There was a Thunderbird in the set. There was Heather Hudson, who was Sasquatch, that was a part of that team. You had a Sunfire from an alternate dimension. Just all these incredible characters, Mimic. Oh my gosh. And Morph was a mainstay through the entire run. If you start reading Exiles, take comfort knowing that Morph's going to be there with you for that whole run and beyond, actually, as they tried to reboot it a couple of times, and Morph always seems to come back around. They did him dirty in the last one, and I hope Marvel reverses it. But yeah, an incredible character. Sacrificed himself many, many times. Actually, towards the end of the Exiles run, there is a situation with Proteus that has to be solved, and it's solved by Morph sacrificing himself and fusing himself to Proteus to kind of give him a ground, but also losing a big piece of himself all at the same time. Incredible character. Really looking forward to see if we get more Exiles out of this set. Very, very exciting. Okay, because Domino's a super rare, I'm going to save her till last, so that means we're going to take a look at Copycat. Now, like I said, a lot of people might not know this character, but if you're a big fan of X-Force in the early 90s, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's fitting that she's in the same brick as Domino because her storyline for a long time was her impersonating Domino. Okay, let's take a look at her card here. She's got New Mutants, Weapon X, X-Force, Assassin, Celebrity, and Spy. Okay, genetic level morphing is a trait. Shape change, sidestep. When Copycat uses shape change and succeeds, she may choose a standard power the attacking character can use. Copycat can use the chosen power until she chooses again. Now, that means that she can choose a standard power defense or damage or any number of these things. So she can protect herself if the person attacking her actually has a power that allows for damage reducing. That is pretty cool. On the back, you have Stealth, Flurry, Precision Strike, all of these other powers, and you do, in fact, see that it is Vanessa Carlyle. Now, in the movies, Vanessa Carlyle and Deadpool are a real item, you know, but in the books, they definitely have history. Now, in these books in the early 90s, characters would just appear, and you had no idea who they are, where they've come from, and you could trust that you'll get their backstory 10, 20, maybe 30 issues later. Like Forge. Forge showed up, and nobody quite knew like who he was. You didn't get his backstory for a very long time. And as a matter of fact, in canon, if we go back, hold on, let me see. Hold on, I want to check this real quick. Yeah, on the back of his card it says real name unknown. How long has Forge been around? And in Marvel canon it says real name is unknown. Now, there's a lot of information out there that his name is Daniel Lone Eagle. Chris Claremont, that was in all of his notes when he hatched the character of Forge. But he never actually called him that in print, so it's not actually canon, and nobody has actually ever really said his name in a Marvel book. So everybody just calls him Forge, and that's it. Nobody knows his actual name because it's never been spoken into canon. He's been around for forever, and that was kind of the habit back in the day. So when Copycat showed up, she actually showed up as Domino. She was impersonating Domino for the first, I don't know, 25, 30 issues that Domino was a part of New Mutants and then X-Force. You had no idea until Deadpool showed up. He started sniffing around. See, Deadpool and Copycat were both employed by this very shady European mob boss with a ton of money named Tolliver. That's all you ever knew his name was. And the first time you figure out that Domino is not in fact Domino, but Copycat, is when Deadpool shows up at X-Force's headquarters and roughs her up a little bit and it's like, hey, you're not doing your job. Don't tell me you're falling in love with these kids. Don't tell me you're falling in love with Cable, because Cable was taking over the New Mutants and Domino was helping shepherd these young kids. And she said she kind of was. And so her and Domino have a knockdown, her and Deadpool have a knockdown drag out, and you find out that her history really is that when her mutant power to not only take the shape of someone else like Mystique does, but also have access to some of their powers. She can actually utilize some of these powers, which is why her card works so well for the figure. But you find out that she went on the run. Her parents did not accept her. Her and Wade Wilson fell in love. He contracted cancer. He left her so that she wouldn't be hurt, and she ended up falling into a life of crime, kind of fell in with the wrong people, and it really cost her over time. You come to find out that Tolliver is actually Cable's son, Tyler, and come back from the future to kill his dad, who killed him when he was a kid. It's a whole thing. It's all time hopping, very, very confusing. But, she was employed by Cable's son, and it ended up costing her her life. She was killed. Wolverine, in that moment, killed Tolliver. And she used some of Wolverine's healing factor, in fact, actually heal herself. And she does that a lot. She gets killed, she disappears. She was killed by Sabretooth. She came back to life. She was killed by Slayback. She came back to life. She was killed by Deadpool. She came back to life. Ultimately, this will they, won't they love story that was pretty violent, actually, for a long time between Deadpool and Vanessa actually has like a really happy kind of reboot. She now works at the Chimichanga food truck, around the corner that Deadpool always likes to go to. And that's a pretty cool thing that Deadpool sees this love of his life. A lot of that really darker stuff was retconned out a little bit later, and you kind of see this, what could have been this world of happiness for Vanessa and for Deadpool had things not gone the way they did. And just like in a romantic comedy, when a guy falls in love with the girl and, the barista at the coffee shop down the street, that's kind of Deadpool, but he goes to a food truck and buys chimichangas from her. So anyway, that is Copycat for you. She's actually a really underutilized character, though. She is like Mystique Plus. And a lot of those characters in the early 90s, that's what they were kind of doing as they were creating these new characters. They just kept on going, okay, Deadpool, he's like Wolverine, but plus. Or Copycat, she's like Mystique, but plus. And you see the old tried and true heroes and villains stick around a lot longer. But Copycat, very, very cool character. Okay, last but not least, Domino. Take a peek at her here. All right. We've got Six-Pack, X-Force, X-Men, Assassin, Marksman, Soldier, Spy, set number 53A. Oh my gosh, Domino's going to have a prime. Awesome. I'm going to have to rack my brain to figure out what that prime could actually be. But let's take a look at her trait. This is the Hot Shots Fearless Leader, as you can see there. Leadership, when Domino uses it and succeeds after resolutions, choose up to 2 friendly characters with a Hot Shots trait, and they each give themselves a Hot Shots token. Friendly characters with a Hot Shots trait have, when this character would roll a single d6, they may remove a Hot Shots token to roll the Domino die instead of the standard d6. Special defense power, just lucky, I guess. Super senses, but succeeds on a 4 to a 6. On the back, special damage power, stacking the deck, probability control. When Domino makes a ranged attack, one of the d6s rolled may be her Domino die instead of a standard d6. And then at the bottom there, you see the Domino die has 1, 2, 5, so no 3 or 4 at all, and then 3 Domino faces, which I'm going to guess mean 6s. Wow, that is crazy. Her probability control has a 50% chance to roll a 6 instead of a standard die, and her Hot Shots have a chance to roll this one as well. That has a 50% chance of actually hitting a 6. That is awesome. I just want to, friendly characters with a Hot Shots trait on the front, when this character would roll a single d6. So what, blades? You got a 50% chance to hit blades? Whoo! That is pretty awesome. She comes in at 50 points, and that is our first super rare. And that is all of the figures that we've pulled today on day 1 of this unboxing. And this die is pretty cool. I'm going to put it up here on the spinner so you guys can get a better look. There's Domino's face, and yeah, it's got a 1, 2, a 5, and then 3 of those dominoes on it. So 1, 2, 5, domino, domino, domino. That's pretty cool. I'm liking this new game element that we've got going on here. That's really neat. I'll put it over here on the side. Okay, that is our first day of unboxing, but we still have the little pack here, a legacy card. So I'm sorry, guys, if I'm rambling a lot. I know these storylines are so near and dear to my heart. I've read them so many times. The late 80s, early 90s, all the way up into 2000, like all of this X-World stuff. I read all of it, and I read it all the time. My 7 long boxes of comic books that I have at home, most of them are filled with these stories, and I'm going to have to go back and check them all out again. Okay, the legacy card that we pulled for this set happens to be... Hell Cow. Oh man, awesome. This is from Marvel HeroClix, Deadpool, and X-Force, and I do happen to have the figure here. Let me put it up on the spinner, and let's have a little chat about Hell Cow. Hell Cow is, first of all, this sculpt is so ridiculous. Hell Cow is such a ridiculous character all in itself. But let's look at this legacy card here. Legacy card 50A, animal and monster keywords. You have Hell Cow starts the game on click number 6. Stealth, Steel Energy. When Hell Cow uses Steel Energy, she may heal past her starting line. So she's got a vampire dial there. That's right. It's a vampire bovine, as it says very clearly there on the card. Herd Immortality. Oh, I love this. Hell Cow modifies attack and defense by +1 for each adjacent friendly character that shares a keyword with her. All the stats are the same there. She can get all the way up to a 10, 12, 19, 5. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's going to take a lot to do it, but she can get there. Mist form is on the back. Stop. Smoke cloud is free, but only to generate 1 marker. Friendly characters occupying terrain generated by Hell Cow heal 1 additional click from Steel Energy and support. So yeah, make an attack or get healed. She also has support herself. I love the fact that she is a healing generator for other vampires. Makes a ton of sense. Why, if you think about it, and it's awesome, man. So yes, that is our first legacy card. That's the one that we pulled today. I love this character. I'm so happy that she is a legacy card. So there you go. That's the first one. I'll share additional characters throughout the rest of this week, but the first one I wanted to show you was actually a big fig, so we'll put her next to HeroClix. That's right, Krakoa from X-Men the Animated Series, from the X-Men the Animated Series set, who is just too giant to put anywhere where you can. Here, we'll do this. This big Krakoa figure here is getting a legacy card in this set. So, yeah, X-Men, the Animated Series, Dark Phoenix, that whole thing, this is going to be where that set is coming from. So make sure you go and you find Krakoa. I'll get the exact set number for you here. Krakoa is X-Men Dark Phoenix Animated number 21. There you go. So that is going to be the legacy card for this guy. So there you go. 2 legacy pieces plus the rest of the unboxing today. I hesitate to put HeroClix over there. I'm gonna put these guys off to the side here. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow for day 2 of our HeroClix unboxing. We'll open up 2 more boosters, and we will take a look at 2 more of the legacy carded figures that you can look forward to in this set. So far, I am super excited. I'm gonna take a beat. Tomorrow morning we come in, I'll tell you everything that I'm hopeful for with what we've unboxed today, what I can't wait to open, hopefully, for the rest of the unboxing series. Remember now, June 12th is when the set is supposed to come out for pre-release at your local comic book shops and game stores. June 26th is the full set release where you can get all your cases, all your bricks, and take them home and open them at home. But the first time you're going to get a chance to play with these guys is at our HeroClix for Huntington's event, which is happening again this year, the first weekend in May. And it includes a Scott Porter vs. the World Sealed Tournament where we will be playing this over a month before the pre-releases even happen in June. So go and find us online, HeroClixForHuntingtons.com, for all of the event details, and I hope you join us and help us make some money for an amazing cause, supporting the HDSA and their battle against Huntington's disease. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much to WizKids for sending this stuff out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to HyperRPG for hosting us, as always, here. This Deadpool on this giant screen behind me is so grand and so lovely, and we have them to thank for it. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until I do, may all your rolls be critical hits. Peace.